Boy, it certainly is a crazy time to be a Pokemon card collector. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. You're watching the channel Dr.Applesauce 2. My name's Will. It's another beautiful day here in Texas. I hope you guys know that I love you, God loves you, and He has a wonderful plan for your life. Yesterday, we talked about how the Pokemon card market has hit rock bottom. We've seen booster boxes selling for as low as $70 or $80, and that is absolutely rock bottom. We're not going to see those crazy low prices again anytime soon. And today, I want to talk to you about the other end of the spectrum, how crazy the Pokemon card market is, that while we have seen the rock bottom, a couple months ago, we actually have some sets that are performing stupendously, that are performing incredibly well, and have been seeing some crazy spikes. Honestly, guys, within like the last 5 to 6 weeks. It's really interesting. And all of these sets and all of these cards that we're seeing having some pretty substantial spikes, all starting around the same time, they're all Sword and Shield era sets. And what's really interesting about this is a good handful of these sets, probably even half of these sets, were sets that people hated. Were sets that I made videos about that people absolutely destroyed them, said these sets were horrible, these sets were garbage, and now these sets have booster boxes selling for over $200 in some situations. It's absolutely wild. So I want to take a deep dive and look at a bunch of these sets, and I want to talk about why I think these sets are doing well and some of the other interesting things about these sets. Drop me a comment down below, guys. Let me know, what is your favorite Sword and Shield era set? I would love to know down in the comments, especially if it's something besides Evolving Skies. But let's take a look at these sets. First of all, we're going to start off and we're going to take a look at Chilling Reign. Chilling Reign was one that I personally hated, and now we have booster boxes for Chilling Reign selling over $200 a booster box, and the top hit from Chilling Reign is the Blaziken VMAX alternate art that's selling for over $225. This was one that I did not like this set at all. Personally, it was not my favorite. I just felt like the hits were really, really bad for me, but I do know a lot of people really enjoyed this set, and the hits were doing really, really well for people. This is selling for over $200 a box. These boxes, I think, bottomed out at like $80 a box at one point, and people were absolutely trashing this set. Next up, we have Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike, probably the craziest story out of all of them, in my opinion. Fusion Strike booster box is selling for over $250, around $250 per box, and the top hit being the Gengar VMAX alternate art, which is selling for over $300. Another really, really interesting set, because we had that scandal where somebody tried to sell, hundreds and hundreds of the alternate art cards that were stolen from, the packs, stolen from the line, and that, did it make the packs really hard to have bad pull rates? What was the situation with that? This is another really interesting one, because, again, this was another box that tanked to around $80 a box, and people were buying it around $80 a box, and now it's skyrocketed up to about $250 a box. Next up, we have Evolving Skies. This one's no secret. Everybody knows Evolving Skies is doing crazy. Evolving Skies has been going crazy for the longest time. Booster boxes are around $700 a box now. $700. And we do, unfortunately, have tons of erroneous listings on TCG Player. You'll see a lot of things being sold for about $300, $400 bucks. Those are loose packs. The top hit from Evolving Skies is obviously going to be that Moonbreon, which is now worth over $750. And the crazy thing is, we even have some sales for the Moonbreon that are between $800 to $1,200 on those sales. Now, the legitimacy of those sales, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if those sales are real or not, but those are recorded on TCG Player. Evolving Skies obviously is the one that's standing above the rest in the pack as far as the Sword and Shield era is, $700 for a booster box, and a top hit that's going to be, at least the price of a booster box. At this point in time, Evolving Skies is really not worth opening unless you just want the fun of opening it, because let's be honest, guys, you're not going to pull the Moonbreon. It's not going to happen. You might as well just go buy it instead of spending $700 on a booster box. Next one is actually my favorite, and one that I'm surprised it's not a little bit higher on the list. And we've got Brilliant Stars next. Brilliant Stars booster boxes are about $170 a box right now, and the top hit from Brilliant Stars is the Charizard V alternate art, which is selling for around $150 and significantly, going up, selling for more and more every day. This is, in my opinion, the best alternate art from the Sword and Shield era. I love, love, love the Charizard V alternate art. I have 2 copies. I love it so much. I think it's really great. And honestly, I think Brilliant Stars was a fantastic set. Lots of fun to hit, lots of fun pulls. I'm surprised 170 isn't bad. I'm surprised it is that low. I do think we will see Brilliant Stars go up more in time. But the freaking Charizard V alternate art is absolutely gorgeous. My favorite alternate art from the Sword and Shield era. Next up, we have Astral Radiance. Astral Radiance booster boxes going for about $170 a booster box. I'd say Astral Radiance is a little more average on the spectrum, with the top hit being the Machamp V that's selling for over $100, and it is rising. I would say that's about more average on the spectrum, but the next one is pretty crazy. Lost Origin, again, around $170. What? We had Brilliant Stars, Lost Origin, and we had Astro Radiance all kind of come out around the same time. So Lost Origin around $170 per booster box. It is rising. The top hit on that is going to be the Giratina Alternate Art, which is selling for over $300. Absolutely gorgeous card. $300 for that hit. Pretty cool. And then we have Silver Tempest, which is probably the cheapest selling one out of all of them, which is interesting because the top hit is a pretty nice card. Silver Tempest booster boxes selling on the market right now for about $134, which is the only one on the list selling below MSRP. But that alternate art Lugia is selling for about $170, and that price is going up on those. Now, well, the reason I bring these up is it's twofold, right? This is all Sword and Shield. These are all sets that, are several years old, and at least half of these sets were absolutely despised and absolutely hated at one point in time, to where the market was just so bad on them. Booster boxes going from around $80 to $90, and we've seen how much they have bounced back and how much they have recovered. And there's a couple similarities that we'll see with these sets. If you look at the graph on TCG Player on every single one of these, on the top hit card and the booster box, the vast majority of them started seeing an upward tick right around the middle to end of March. Almost all of them started seeing a trend upwards around the middle to end of March. Go back and look at all the screenshots I flashed if you don't believe me. Now, we got to ask ourselves, what happened in March? What happened around the end of March? Well, Temporal Forces came out in March. That happened in March. And then at the beginning of April, we had Rotation. So I'm scratching my head. Is there something else that happened in the beginning of March? I mean, tax season, right? People are getting more money. So maybe there's more, money to be, discretionary income to be spent, people to spend on things like this. But it is interesting to see that all of those prices started kind of trending upwards right around middle to end of March of this year. I found that to be interesting. Another thing all of these sets have in common is they're all Sword and Shield, obviously, but all of the top hits from all of these sets are all alternate art Pokemon cards. And this is something that I think was done a disservice to the Scarlet and Violet era, because the alternate art Pokemon cards in Sword and Shield were fantastic, and they were a little bit of a higher rarity. Now, what happened with Scarlet and Violet era is they took the alternate arts, and we still have those alternate arts in the SIR form, but they're a little bit more abundant and they're a little bit more plentiful, which is great, meaning that you have access to more cards that are cool, that you can, there's more of these cards that you can pull. Maybe they're a little bit easier to pull, they're a little bit more cool, they're just not quite as special as the Sword and Shield era alternate arts, and that's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's just fine, but that does mean, and we're seeing the evidence of this with the prices of these booster boxes, with the prices of these main chase cards, the evidence of this being that these alternate arts are always going to be held in a little bit higher of a regard and a little bit more coveted and a little bit more revered than these alternate art or the special illustration rare cards that we're getting in the Scarlet and Violet era right now. So you're seeing all of this craziness go on with Sword and Shield market, which I think is super cool. Their sets have been out for at least a couple of years. We don't have those type of alternate arts anymore. So I think a lot of this is deserved. Now, the interesting thing is we saw the bottoming out of, Fusion Strike and Chilling Reign and Battle Styles and a few sets like that selling for under $100 a booster box. And then we saw some similar things happening at the beginning of the Scarlet and Violet era with Scarlet and Violet Base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift, stuff like that. Boxes going for around $80 or $90 a booster box. I think those days are gone. We're not going to see many more of those days. With Twilight Masquerade, we might see some boxes dip below $100, but I think for the most part, those times where we can get this product for super cheap like that is absolutely gone. And before somebody comments down below and says, well, I get boxes for $75 on TikTok. Okay, good for you for getting boxes for $75 on TikTok, but the seller's not actually selling them for $75. The seller's selling them for $100. TikTok is giving you a $25 discount and paying that spiff to the seller, so it's not really the same thing. The seller is still selling those boxes for $100 box. That's just my little rant, okay? That's just a little rant, okay? But whatever it may be. But the time of those crazy cheap booster boxes is gone. And I think Sword and Shield is gonna be really, really interesting. I don't really have a purpose. I'm not really advising you guys anything in this video. I'm just talking about what I find to be interesting about the Sword and Shield era. But if there was a bit of advice, I would say look at the alternate art cards in the Sword and Shield era that you want, that are still cheap, you know, the cards that are maybe $50 or below, or maybe some alternate art cards that you've been wanting to pick up that you haven't picked up that are still relatively affordable, and maybe start paying a little bit closer attention to them. Maybe start picking up some of those alts that you want that are only $20, $30, $40, $50, because there are a lot of beautiful alternate art cards from the Sword and Shield era that fall in that price range. And I do believe as time goes by, we're going to see those creep up as these main chase hits get further and further out of reach for so many people. It's a great time to be a Pokemon card collector. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, guys. You know why? Because it's free and it helps a lot. And if you want to see more of my content, hit that subscription button and that notification bell so YouTube will hopefully tell you when a new video comes out. And if you liked this one, YouTube says you'll like that one. So go check it out. And like I always say, find somebody to love and serve today. Be the change you want to see in the world. See you next time.